if you leave a comment and be like, oh, Jesus is not really the Son of God, people are going to tell you, may God have mercy on you. Say anything about Jesus, people will be like, may God have mercy on you. But if you dare say something against that pastor, that's when you see a different side of people. And then you ask yourself, who is the God in their lives? Who is the God in their lives? Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new to my channel, hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Summer. And to all of you that keep coming back, hello and welcome back. Quick reminder, if you've never subscribed, just to remind you to click that red button there that says subscribe, and after that click the bell sign. That way you get a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you for all the compliments and all the nice comments and everything about my garden. Everything is doing really well. My tomatoes are actually doing so well. That's that about my garden. By the way, somebody actually left me a comment a while back and said, you talk about these pastors and the private jet and something like what your garden is to you is what the private jet is to the pastors. Something like that, like, oh, you're talking about pastors and you have a garden and something like that, like the garden is equivalent to the private jets. God himself, when he created the world, created a garden. Jesus didn't even own a donkey. In Jesus' time, the private jet would have been equivalent to chariots. He didn't even own a donkey. Jesus didn't even own a boat. It's funny how all these children in the Lord and grandchildren in the Lord of all these pastors, they will say anything. They will say the most ridiculous things. Now, let me say this. I've never said that a pastor should be poor and starving and hungry and not have this or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm talking about the greed and the excesses and the too much building of wealth that, sometimes you don't see selflessness anymore. A lot of them are building empires for themselves and their generations to come. They're just building so much wealth. You're trying to see things that are Christ-like in them and you can't see it. All you see is greed. And greed, we know, does not come from God. Greed does not come from God. We all know where greed comes from. But anyways, I don't want to divert. I don't want to turn this video to that. So today's video, I want to talk about the fact that I actually used to be a member of Christ Embassy. Yes, I was a member of Christ Embassy. Having this discussion, some people call it argument, but I want to say discussion, but some people turn it into heated argument because they're not happy when you say when you say something that is contrary to what they believe or whatever. They just get all agitated and distressed or whatever, and they were not happy about some of the things that I was saying, and they were really agitated and angry. I always get people say, oh, you don't know anything about our church because you're not a member of Christ Embassy, and on that day it came up and this was like, you don't know anything about Christ Embassy, you're not a member of our church, we know what we believe in, we know this, we know that, you know nothing about Christ Embassy, you're not a member of Christ Embassy. And I said, actually, I used to be a member of Christ Embassy about 20 years ago. And the person replied and was like, you see, this is how you catch people when they tell a lie. How old are you to have been a member of Christ Embassy about 20 years ago? I was like, well, I'm in my 40s. He was in shock. He definitely was in shock. So long story short, I was a member of Christ Embassy about 20 years ago. Yes, I was. And in this video, I'm going to say why Christ Embassy is not for me. Okay, it's not for me. One of the amazing things about our Christianity is, you can pick and choose whatever church you want to attend. There's freedom in our Christianity. There's freedom in Christianity if you know true Christianity. So yeah, I'm going to be saying why Christ Embassy is not for me. I'm going to start off by saying how I actually started going to Christ Embassy. Okay, I started going to Christ Embassy at a point where I wasn't going to church anymore. I was kind of like living my life. I was living my life. I wasn't even into church anymore at this point. And I've shared videos about how I did backslide in the past. I've said it before. And Christ Embassy, I came into Christ Embassy at a time when I did backslide. Okay, so how did I end up going there? Christ Embassy for me started off with people saying, oh, the church where they wear trouser. That was how it started. Oh, we could go try that church where they wear trouser. Because at that time, Christ Embassy was the only church, as far as I know, in Benin. 20 years ago, Nigerian churches didn't wear trousers. Things have changed a lot. And we're all young girls, and they were like, oh, there's this church where they wear trousers. And people were like, what? Yeah, they wear trousers. Everybody was like, a lot of people wanted to try it. Oh, go to the church just to wear trousers. It was something new. And this pastor was such a good-looking pastor. We were kids. And he had this pretty wife, and those were the part of the attraction. I'm going to be honest. Pastor Chris spoke with this nice accent, and for us, there are tiny little things that were kind of like interesting. And believe it or not, that was how we we started Christ Embassy, and we liked it because on a Sunday other people are wearing normal clothes and we were wearing trousers to church. It just felt different. Okay, we were young, it just felt different, and that was how I started Christ Embassy. Slowly we got sucked in, we started becoming serious. I don't know how it is now, but then, as far as I can remember, there were only 2 branches of Christ Embassy in Benin. One was around the airport, you know, that side, but there's another one that's after New Benin Market. If you're heading to Uniden, okay, that was the one I was attending. Yes, it was like a warehouse inside at the top on the right hand side. If you're looking at the altar, on the top on the right hand side is where the pastor's office is. I'm stating all these things for those that are going to say I'm making it up. So any Christ Embassy church member that is watching this, anybody that knows Christ Embassy in Benin, I don't know how many branches they have now, they will know that I'm giving details, correct details. So that was the branch I was attending, and then slowly we just started becoming like regular, and we joined the choir, me and my friends, and there was, at the end of the day, there were 2 of us that stayed. There was this identical twin girls, and they were in the choir as well. Anybody that knows Christ Embassy and knows this branch will know that I'm giving you correct information. Now I'm going to start off with one experience, okay, one experience that I had in Christ Embassy that messed me up. Not when I say messed me up, it's like got me confused. I remember we joined the choir, me and my friend. Young people sometimes, you know, church can be a social gathering and you can become part of this social gathering. That happened. It happened. And then you can slowly begin to kind of take these things in and begin to kind of take it seriously. And it did happen to me. And at the end of the day, a lot of my friends stopped coming. I kept on going. And then I made, you know, 1 or 2 friends. But anyway, so I'm going to go back and tell you guys this experience that messed me up. When I say messed me up, got me thinking so deep, and I began to see Chris Oyahilome in a different way. Okay, my experience, I started having questions in my head. Okay, I'll tell you guys what happened. So what happened was that they were doing this what was it called then, you know, the atmosphere for miracle. Okay, atmosphere for miracle. It had to happen in Lagos. Okay, and everybody was excited. We're gonna go to, you know, Lagos. We were part of the choir. They would join all the choirs nationwide. You know, they would join all the choirs and make up a big, massive choir in Lagos. And it was happening at the National Stadium. Yeah, National Stadium in Lagos. Okay, and everybody was all hyped. We were all excited. I'm gonna be honest. It felt like this is one of those things. You felt like you're going to Lagos to go meet Jesus. That was not literally, but that was how it felt. You know, do you know how much people end up idolizing their pastors? It is mind-blowing. Let me tell you something. In the comment section of any platform, Facebook, wherever, if you leave a comment and be like, oh, Jesus is not really the Son of God, people are going to tell you, may God have mercy on you. Say anything about Jesus, people will be like, may God have mercy on you. But if you dare say something against their pastor, that's when you see a different side of people. And then you ask yourself, who is the God in their lives? Who is the God in their lives when the pastor is so high up there on their minds above Jesus himself? What are we talking about? So I don't want to divert to something else. So anyways, it was all exciting. It was all exciting. We're all going to Lagos and all of these things. I was broke. Like, I was broke at this time in my life. Very, very broke. We got there. I had this friend then. I can't remember his name. He was a friend I made in the church. I didn't know him before the church. He was maybe a year or 2 younger than me. We were just close. We were just kind of close friends. And this boy used to work at the restaurant and as one of the waiters at the restaurant, you know. There's this nice restaurant owned by this woman. It was a bit off the street, off Akpapava, kind of, before you even get to like it's off Akpapava, kind of close to Mission Road, but kind of like off Akpapava. I don't know how to explain it. So my friend used to work there, and this boy, young boy, oh my goodness, he was going to Lagos to go see Pastor Chris. He idolized Pastor Chris. He was like, you know, this is like going to see Jesus. I'm telling you guys, it was like going to see Jesus. And we went to Lagos, and you know, this massive choir we'd been practicing and all this. You felt privileged to be sitting down there as a member of this big choir. But I want to talk about this boy. What happened to this boy? All this boy wanted to do, I'm not saying he was not a serious Christian or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that this boy idolized Pastor Chris. He idolized Pastor Chris so much. This boy decided to go wait for Pastor Chris. He found out where Pastor Chris was going to be walking past after the service was was over, and he was waiting there for Pastor Chris to walk past. He had his camera. I can't even remember if he saved up and bought this camera or if he borrowed it. I can't remember why. I can't remember how he got it, but he was holding on to this camera. He wanted to get a picture of Chris Oyahilome. He couldn't wait to see him close up and to get a picture. This, my friend, waited. Pastor Chris was walking past, the moment this boy has always dreamt of. Before we left Benin, that was his biggest dream, to see Pastor Chris close up and to get a picture of Pastor Chris. He was even thinking he'd be able to stand with Pastor Chris and take a picture with Pastor Chris. Okay, so Chris Oyahilome was walking past, his bodyguards, which he always have, and they were walking past, and this boy, he was so, Pastor Chris, he was like, and he brought out his camera to take a picture. And this particular area he went to wait, they went to this quiet area Pastor Chris was walking past. He brought out his camera to take a picture of Pastor Chris. Okay, Pastor Chris was walking by with some other pastors. The two pastors from Benin were with him. He got knocked down and his camera was seized. Bodyguards, whatever they were, they pushed him and he fell. Okay, this boy fell, his camera fell, because I remember he kept on talking about his camera. He kept on talking about his camera, that his camera was a bit, I don't know if it was damaged or scratched or something. And they grabbed his camera. Okay, grabbed his camera. The things that's really did, when I say confused me, the poor boy, he always wanted to see Pastor Chris, he was pushed down in front of his Jesus. This boy couldn't understand why Pastor Chris would allow people to push him down like that. He didn't, people look at him and they think like, people, look at him and they imagine this image of Jesus and, all these things. He was not Jesus. He was disappointed that this Pastor Chris he idolized could stay there and see this happen to him. Pastor Chris didn't even stop. Pastor Chris didn't even acknowledge that he was pushed down. And I think it dawned on him that he's not this Jesus he's not this Jesus people think he is. Just human being like you and I. The fact that Pastor Chris said nothing and did nothing about him being knocked down, it really did hurt him. Another thing, the pastor from my branch was there. If nobody recognized him, at least his own pastor from the branch that he attends should be able to say, oh no, that's a member of my church, let him be. He said nothing. That pastor said absolutely nothing. Do you know who saved him? The pastor from the airport road side, the airport road branch of Christ Embassy, was the one that said no. He was the one that took his camera off these people and gave it back to him. That pastor, I have to give him the credit. He was the only one that helped my friend. He helped him, picked up his camera and said, no, guys, and he took the camera off them and gave it back to him. What happened on that day made my friend see him completely differently. It really did bruise my friend. I don't know, bruise him emotionally. I don't even have the word for it. It really did hurt his feelings. And he kept on talking to me about it. Can you imagine this? Did you see what just happened? He was like, can you imagine what just happened? And he was like, I can't believe this. He was really, really upset by that. Really, really hurt, and he was disappointed. He was disappointed that, this Pastor Chris he had always looked up to, he had idolized. He was a young boy, that he had idolized and everything, that it was hard for him to understand how this Jesus could see him being pushed like that, rough-handled, and said nothing. It really did shake him up. I remember he never stopped talking about it. And then myself, I knew it was wrong. I couldn't understand why. I was just confused, because I'm like, no, Pastor Chris can't do anything wrong. But one part of me is like, this is wrong. Where is Christ in this? All this boy did was try to take a picture. One, I didn't understand, what was the big deal? Why will his bodyguard attack somebody for trying to take a picture? He wanted me to confirm that what they did to him was wrong. And I was not afraid to. I was kind of like, I couldn't bring myself to say yes, it's wrong. That thing about how Pastor Chris can't be wrong. Pastor Chris is this holy, this guy. But I saw he wanted me to say it, that he wanted to be sure he's not going crazy. He kept on saying to me, is that right? What they did to me, is it right? Look at the way they shoved me on the ground. Pastor Chris didn't even, say anything about it. And, our pastor from our own branch of Christ Embassy didn't even say anything. Did I do anything wrong? All I was trying to do is take a picture. I look back now, I was a kid myself, but a lot of people, that is the truth. Like, for me on that day, I couldn't say anything. A lot of people no matter what they see their pastors doing, there are a lot of people that would never open their mouths and say what my pastor did was wrong. That's the truth. They don't care how bad what he's done is. As far as they're concerned, that is their GO. That is, it's not just Christ Embassy. A lot of our churches in Nigeria, that is our pastor. He can't be wrong. He must have. I can tell you guys, I once heard a pastor very angry, and he said to his driver, "You bastard!" Like, imagine that. I was like, whoa. And part of me was like, it must be okay. I was very young when this happened. I was like, it must be okay. He's the pastor. He must know if it's wrong or right. He must be right. This happens to people a lot. He was expecting that when they pushed him down, Pastor Chris was going to bring out his arm and help him up. And, they were expecting this guy. He was expecting the kind of a Jesus, moment. If you know what I mean. It didn't happen for him. Till date, I still don't understand why taking a picture of Pastor Chris was supposed to be such a big deal that he had to. Why would bodyguards want to hurt somebody simply because they try to take a picture and even seize his camera? Tell me why they want to seize his camera. What is wrong? I don't know if things have changed. I'm telling that experience. But I kept on wondering in my head, what was wrong in taking a picture of Pastor Chris? His pictures are everywhere. So does it mean that the pictures you have to see have to be the ones that are taken by his own professional photographers? That experience made me take a step back and start to kind of wonder about things. Another thing I have to talk about is that everybody wanted to go to Atmosphere of Miracle. We see it on TV all the time, and we get the chance to go. We wanted to go to Atmosphere of Miracle, and I remember going there. I stayed with my sister, and I used to. My sister's house was not too far from the airport, but it was a long walking distance. Sometime after the meetings, I have no money for transport to go back, and my sister that I came to see, she was not somebody I want to be asking for, oh, give me money for this or give me money for that, because she knows send me a message, that kind of thing. So I remember sometimes after the service was over, I remember in that Atmosphere of Miracle, massive stadium, after the program was over, I'll be looking for somebody to beg for money to go back home. You understand? It was such a terrible time for me because I couldn't financially, be there. I couldn't be there. And then you look and they bring out this big baskets of offerings and they're collecting all these big offerings and everything. And you have no transport fare to go home. Okay? Let me say this, right? That was my last time going to any crusade or like to take my, this idea of, let me tell you, Jesus is not waiting for anybody in Lagos. Jesus is in Benin. He's everywhere. If, this thing that some churches do, they be like, everybody have to gather in that state or that state. I personally don't believe in it. I believe that whatever, do one for people in Lagos, let the ones in Benin do their own. They don't need to be, this need to, oh, let's go, Jesus is waiting for us in Lagos. They didn't say that, but that's how it comes across. And, and then another thing I want to say is this, this gathering. Let me tell you something. That experience, sometimes I'm there, I'm starving, I had no food. And if you think about it, right, look at even in the Bible, when Jesus was doing his own crusade, that's the best word I can use to explain. Jesus was preaching to multitudes and all this crowd followed him. They fed the thousands of people. They fed people. He fed people that came to listen to him. But churches these days, they don't care. They're going to collect their big offerings and all whatever they're collecting. Even another thing I have to say is this: if you're going to take a choir from one state to another state, make a provision for your choir. Make a provision. At the end of the day, you are the pastor ministering. The choir are ministering too. They are ministering through songs. But nobody, I don't know if it's changed. I'm telling you my experience. That experience changed me because since then, I don't believe in this traveling to Kilimanjaro because you're doing a crusade or whatever. Even the biggest church in Benin, after Idausa died, the biggest church in Benin was a New Covenant Gospel Church. Even Omobide's church, when they want to do their crusade, I think there was a school or something behind them. There was a school somewhere, secondary school something by their side. There was a big field there and they used to do it there. I was never used to this idea of traveling far away for church crusade. Honestly, that was my last time traveling in the name of crusade. A lot of these big churches can't afford to provide for their choirs. If you're going to take them to another state, provide their transport to take them there, provide accommodation while they're there, look after them. The money that is coming in through a lot of these churches is enough to do that. But it doesn't work that way. It's only, the pastor comes in this, which is entourage and bodyguard and everything, and then all the other people that are. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all of that. Why Christ Embassy is not for me. When I was going to that church, when I was in the choir, there was a day in the choir, you can say, or they say if you have any song suggestions or stuff like that, you can suggest. And I suggested this song, what was that song? Chineke dima, Chineke dima, Chineke dima, O dima nesia. I suggested the song, and I noticed some people giggling. I was like, okay. Choir mistress said, no. And I was like, why? Oh, he said it's not our ministry. I was confused because what does that mean? It's not our ministry. See me. I don't know. I've told you guys before. I didn't learn good English. I didn't learn good English until I was like 12, 13. Even till date, I still feel like, okay, my English is like, I learned pidgin English before English. Forget about this, I live abroad for a long time and all these things. I'm still a local girl. There are a lot of things I do not understand. Till date, I still Google some things. When people say some things, I'm like, okay, what does that, I was clueless. Like, I didn't even know what that means. And I didn't want to ask. I didn't want to sound stupid. Like, I didn't want to. Me, local girl, now was like, which one is not our ministry? I did not understand. Listen, so when we were going home, and I asked my friend, amazing singer, we were going home, and I said to her, I beg, waiting that is not our ministry. Waiting you take on me. She said, you don't know. She said, you said we're going to bring that kind of song. You don't ever hear them sing that kind of song before. You don't know. My friend was like, my friend. You say you go to sing local song. See, they call there, you don't see there. I was like, what? That was the first time it dawned on me that I've actually never heard them sing any pidgin English songs, any native language songs. And I was like, I was so confused. I was like, how can the church not sing local songs? Why? Me, you see me. I'm a local girl. I've always said it in my videos. I'm a local girl. And I like traditional music. I like pidgin English songs and Igbo songs, Yoruba songs, Benin songs, local language. I started thinking about it. I was like, so what if they were to have I was like, what about their branches in villages? What would they be singing? Are they going to be singing English songs? Even though we grew up in Benin, every Christmas and all those, we always went home for Christmas. And in the churches, in my village, they would read the Bible in Igbo language. They sing Igbo songs. Everything was traditional. The Catholic church, when I grew up in a Catholic church, I grew up as in a Catholic home. So everything, and I used to be fascinated because there are some things we sing, some hymns we sing. To not hear them sing it in our traditional language, I used to be like amazed. I remember we used to laugh, sometimes we used to laugh at when they are talking. We just found it so much fun, and we used to like to go to church because we liked the way everything was done. Everything was done in Igbo language. I used to be like, oh my goodness, they did this in Igbo language. They did it. We absolutely loved it. What do you call it in a Catholic church now? When you shake each other's hands. But in the village, they sing this song and they be like, how do you say? Kanyekata ni wanyi nyekele nkudo udoli funanya Christi. Amen. We absolutely loved it, and we used to love to sing along with it. We loved it. They played the ogene, everything in the church. In the cities, they play the piano, those kind of instruments, and then you go to the village, you're hearing ogene. In the church, you're hearing udu. You're hearing all these things. It used to be fascinating. We loved it. So when I heard that they said this is not our ministry, and I said to myself, what? Okay, they don't sing local songs. What are their branches in villages singing? Because I'm used to go to the village. In my village churches, they read the Bible in Igbo language, everything in Igbo language, everything 100% Igbo language. So I was like, okay, what would Christ Embassy branches be doing? What language then are they going to sing, or what kind of songs do they sing in the villages? Do you know what I found out? That Christ Embassy was not in any village. As at that time, I don't know now. They were not in any village. They were only going to cities upon cities upon cities. Okay? They were just in cities. They were not in villages. Part of the ministry is to go to all nations, spread the gospel to all nations. And I started thinking that, why would they not be in villages? Do they not need Jesus in the villages? Or does it mean the people in the villages don't need Jesus? And I began to really start processing all these things. And I said, why would the church only exist in cities? I don't know about now. If the Christ Embassy in villages, let me know. But I don't know about now. As at that time, they were not in villages. And they didn't seem to be, any plan to go into villages. Everything was like, it was all in the city. In my head, I started having a lot of questions. Why will a church only focus in the cities, but not in villages? Why will a church be expanding expanding from cities to cities and no villages. I don't understand. How can you only sing English songs? There are some songs that you can't, like there are some songs that I don't know how to explain, that when you want to talk to God, you know, you want to praise God, you want to worship God, you know, you have like, there's something about the local language. I didn't understand why a church will only want to sing English. I don't care how amazing English songs or whatever, you know, is. I'm not saying they're not amazing, but there's something about, I can speak for my language, singing in Igbo language. Like there are some songs that you can't do justice to them if not in the traditional, you know, languages. Like if you think about a song like, what song am I going to think about? Onye nwem onum juru nekele ofonye nasuro zara chika dibia echete chizokpa adabere aṅụrịa onye kenile dị n'aka ya ọ dị sọ na-emuso mmanka ji jogo ebighị ebi eluigwe ebube Israel ugwu a narị atụ egwu agbapụrụ ezuru ike ihe anyị isi ike amara ụzọ echete chizokpa esoro ụzọ enwere ndụ ọkwa dike na dimkpa n'agha. Ana mekele gị n'ihe ọma ị na-emere m. I am saying thank you, Jesus. How do you, like, there's no other way to sing a song like this. Like, I can't even, for those that understand Igbo language, there's something about it. There's just something about expressing yourself in your traditional language, and it's just so different. And to imagine that there's a church, I don't know if they've changed, there's a church that didn't, and I noticed that. And then I started trying to find out about Christ Embassy in villages. They didn't exist. I started, you know, noticing that when you watch, you know, the what do you call it, the Love Word program or whatever they call it, there was never local songs, no pidgin English songs, no traditional language songs. And I was like, and we're Nigerians? And I started seeing that I started feeling that there was this particular image they want to have, want to be Western. So that's another thing that opened my eyes. I was like, okay, there's something not right. If a church is focused only on singing English songs and growing from cities to city and no villages, and I was like, it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me. Like I said, how can you have a church that are not in villages? Does that make sense? Is Jesus only for those in the city, or is Jesus for everybody? So, you know, the Bible talks about go ye and preach the gospel to all nations. All nations. Basically, go preach the gospel to everywhere. Why only the cities? That was another thing that I started coming into my head, and I started to have more and more questions. Don't forget, this video is about why Christ Embassy is not for me, okay? Not for me. Something else I'm going to talk about is, it's not only in Christ Embassy, but it happens in a lot of Nigerian churches. But the idolization of Pastor Chris is just too much. It's too much. Way too much. Like, it's got to the point where he's almost like Jesus in the life of, he's almost like Jesus to some people. No, there was never an intention for anybody to be a replacement for Jesus. No. People be like, it's a lie. It's not like Jesus to us. It's not true. The fame and everything is something a lot of people should run away from. You may be the most genuine pastor in the world, but I feel like fame can destroy people. Because fame, money can't destroy people. I've made a lot of videos where I've said it, you know, money is not the root of all evil. That's not what the Bible says. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil, because money can distract. I've made a video which I'm going to link here. You guys can check it out. Let me talk about, in a lot of churches, especially now in Nigeria, one thing that the devil has thrown in the midst, the devil has thrown into the equation to distract, destroy, and do whatever to a lot of these pastors is the love of money. Threw the money in and they lost everything. They lost everything. They have so much, but they never have enough. Because I'm not going to go into all of that. I have a lot of videos on that. But the love of money can destroy people. That's why some of them are building empires for themselves. Their children are stinkingly rich, can never be poor. And then some people are coming into church and going home hungry. I was surprised when I came to Europe and I saw that. I saw churches where they actually have breakfast before Sunday service. If you have no food at home, come and eat in church. I never saw that in Nigerian churches. I came to Europe, it was the first time I heard a pastor say, and this pastor was like, if you have no food at home, come and talk to me. He said, because no child of God should be hungry. No child of God. No child of God should be hungry. And that's the first time I've ever heard a pastor say that. Oh God, excuse me. And that's the first time I've ever heard a pastor say that. I lived in poverty for a long time in Nigeria. No church ever said, no child of God. A church should be a place where people can go to when they are in the worst distress. A church should be a place where people can, like, I make all these videos, and you know, think about it. Some of these pastors are so rich. They're so rich, and there's so many poor people around them. So many poor people. So many. Some people will be like, oh, it's the role of the government to provide for the citizens. It's the role of the government to look after the God. Let me tell you, when Jesus fed the multitude, there was a government in the land. When the apostles, the things that were brought to their feet were distributed to everyone according to their needs, there was a government in the land. There was government in the, like, oh, anyways, I'm not going to go into all of that. He is so idolized. It's not only him. A lot of big mega pastors are so idolized. Absolutely idolized, to the point where you'll be wondering, who is Jesus in their lives. This is what I was talking at the beginning. I was saying at the beginning that there are a lot of people today, if you tell them, oh, Jesus is not the true Son of God, Jesus is that, whatever, no matter what you say, they will tell you, may God have mercy on you. They may just say a few things like that and they leave it at that. But they say something about their pastor, and then you know who they truly are. They will come fighting, attacking. They will do whatever they have to do. They will come for you full time. The minute you talk about your pastor, and then you ask yourself, who is the real God in their lives? They will say, God is the God in my life, but the truth is, God is not a God in their lives. No, their pastors are gods in their lives. So let me talk about this idolization. He is idolized way too much. He is. I'm going to be honest, he's idolized. There was just so much. Now, in the branch I attended, they pushed the selling of his CDs. If he wrote a book, they pushed it. Have you bought your copy yet? Have you bought your copy yet? I'm going to be honest, it happened. Have you bought your copy yet? I was one of them. I can say this. I was one of them. You wake up in the morning, the first thing you play is a CD of Chris Oyahilome singing. What's that song now? I used to be able to sing it from beginning to end. You wake up before your morning devotion, you're already playing Pastor Chris in the background. That's what you wake up to, because you feel like, if I play it, the day is going to go well. Once I play Pastor Chris song before I say my prayers, that is idolization. Have you bought your copy? Anybody that bought a copy is holding it like this, like, oh my, it was like a second Bible. People are holding it like, oh, I have a copy. You're going to church on Sunday, you carry your Bible and you carry the book. You want people to know that you have a copy, you know. Idolization is too much. It is way too much. Let me tell you, no matter how big and mighty your pastor is, what are we at the end of the day? We are all brethren. Brethren. Okay? Your pastor is not a God. He is not a God. People don't realize these things. I've made a video where I asked people, at the end, what will God say? Even to the most real pastor, that is genuine pastor, what will God say at the end? Well done, you good and faithful G.O., bishop, pope, pastor, reverend? No. Good and faithful servants. Servants. We're all brethren. We're all the same. All this looking up at somebody that they are higher and mighty. Why would they be higher and mightier than you if we're all brethren in Christ? If that's what we are, you have to study your own Bible and know your Bible much as your pastor. There's nobody that said only pastors need to know what the Bible says. You need to know what the Bible says as well. No pastor should be. All this idolization is what has destroyed a lot of them. It is what has destroyed a lot of them. When I look at these people and how they have become so idolized and they feel so high up and they feel like they are gods, a lot of them they act like these super mighty people. It shouldn't be so. We should all be the same. Another thing people have to realize, I see it in my comment section and people are like, can you not see that this is wrong? And these other church members of particular church, not even Christ members, I'm just saying, any church that something is on the news and it's about their church, and you see them very defensive about their church and everything, and some people are trying to talk to them. You have to realize that you can't get through to a lot of people. Let me tell you why you can't get through to these people. A lot of these people already attend these churches for like 15 years, 10 years, 20 years. They've been there for such a long time. They've been immersed and they've been soaked in. They are so indoctrinated that you're talking and it's going like this. They won't even listen. It's going to take a long time. That's why I tell people, you tell somebody what you want to tell them, and then all you can do then is pray for them. That's it. So if you think, oh, I'm just going to talk to them like, oh my goodness, no matter what you say, some people are going to be watching this video. From the minute they even click in, they already click in with the intention of not believing anything I say. They already clicked in with the 100% conviction in the heart that whatever you're going to say is not true. Let me put it that way, right? They're already clicking with that mind that they are not going to accept anything you say. So they're not even going to watch it with an open mind. No. How? How are they going to do that? Because they have been soaked into a particular thing for such a long time. It's not easy to get people to snap out of a lot of things. So for those people that think, you're arguing in the comment section, you have to realize that these people you're arguing with, it's not that easy to break them away from something they've been doing, something they've been part of for 10 years, 15 years. There are a lot of them, if you ask them some major questions, they will have no answer. All they can tell is that I am a member of this born and bred, I'm a member of this church or that church, born and bred. And do you know I've been a member of that church for 25 years? For them, it's like a badge of honor. I've been member. It's nothing else. They're not processing anything else. They're not thinking deep. They're not even trying to assimilate, understand what you're saying. It's all about, I have a badge. I am a member of that is all it's about. That is the problem, okay? That is the problem. They would never listen to you because they've been in a lot of places for such a long time. For them, it's about continuity. They don't care what you have to say. If you like, open the Bible, put their head inside and close their head inside. Nothing. It only takes prayers for a lot of people. Honestly, a lot of people, all you need to do is pray for them. Let's say this. Do you know how many of his pastors permed their hair when he was perming his hair? Is that not idolization? And then when he stopped, they stopped. What is that? If that is not idolization, that is idolization. Everything was designed to be posh. We're speaking in Pastor Chris' accent, and it was about everything was trying to be westernized, and those things didn't work for me. This being posh and being seen as the class of the posh people and stuff like that. That's not what our Christianity is about. You can be local, like some of us. You can be as a regular guy, a regular person as ever, and still be a child of God. I felt that there was just so much that was just too fake for my liking. There was just so much that was just personally too fake for my liking. Everybody wants to be posh, and when you come to church, you can't even speak pidgin English with your church members. Everybody is trying to be, speaking with an accent. It was not for me, because Jesus is for the rich and the poor. Jesus was not this rich, posh guy. Jesus was a local guy. Was a regular, person. Things like that, they don't suit me at all. I speak today, I can be speaking pidgin English. Tomorrow I'm speaking proper English, the best of my knowledge. Another day I'm speaking my Igbo language. I speak Yoruba, whatever. I don't want to be this type that will be too ashamed to speak my local language, too ashamed to be. No, Christ Embassy does not tell you about trials and tribulations. I'm telling you, I don't know if it's changed. You don't. What about trials and tribulations? They tell you can conquer all these, you can do this, you can do. They tell you all these things, but they don't. Christ Embassy does not prepare. I don't know now. I'm telling you my experience. That Christ Embassy does not prepare you for trials and tribulations. You are supposed to be. We dominate. We this. We that. I remember when I was Christ Embassy, they said you don't pray to say God give me this. You don't pray and ask for things, because it's like God already knows you need them. You don't need to ask. You just thank God for the things you're going to get. Thank you, Lord, because I know you're going to do this. So he's not asking. You're just thanking him because you know he's going to do it. Sometimes I was asking this question in my head, and I'll say, but the Bible says, ask and you should be given, seek and you shall find. So it means you have to ask. You have to seek. So I was kind of like, Christ Embassy does not prepare you for trials and tribulations, because the way they function is like, you're supposed to have these things. You are the child of God. You're supposed to have that and have this. Even the apostles had struggles. They had struggles. What about the trials and tribulations that the Bible says are going to be there? Christ Embassy doesn't prepare you for trials and tribulations. They prepare you for this life of abundance. You're going to have this, you're going to have that, but that's not what the Bible says. They don't prepare you for that, and then it comes, you're like, okay, what's going on? You begin to doubt God, because you have been taught for such a long time that you're a child of God. You're going to have these. Once you say it, it's going to happen, and you have the power to dominate. You have the power. That is all they tell you. So what happens then when these trials and tribulations come? You're going to be like, okay, it's not working. I must be doing something wrong. Oh my goodness, why is it not working? I must be doing, and you begin to blame yourself. Then you forget that the Bible says that there'll be trials. I'm going to tell you this. There's somebody, I'm not going to say names, somebody that was being beaten up in her marriage. I'm not going to say who she is. Being beaten up in her marriage. Member of Christ Embassy. Hi. When I say hi, she's a high member of Christ Embassy. Beaten up in her marriage. This woman was taken out of that marriage. I'm not going to say by who. For her own safety. Is that not trial? Serving God is not about money. Serving God is not about having everything in the world. They don't talk about contentment. They don't talk about contentment. I'm going to link one of my videos for you guys to check it out and see that this message about money and prosperity is from the devil. It is. Listen, it is from the devil. I'm not your pastor. You may be like, oh, my pastor. Listen, it is from the devil. And in that video that I'm going to link, you're going to see Bible verses that show that any message that is promoting prosperity gospel is from the enemy. Okay, I will link it. You can all check it out. They promote so much about, it's about having, oh yeah, you're gonna this, you're gonna be all about fairy tales. That's the word, fairy tales. That's not what our Christianity is about. It doesn't mean our life is about suffering and stuff, but the suffering may come. These things may come. Your faith will be tested. All these things will come, but they don't prepare you for those things. You know, that's why I say, I'm just telling you why that church is not for me. It's not for me. So, like, these are the things that personally, my experience of being a member of Christ Embassy, these are the things that I can say that I got to a point I just felt like this is not for me, and I never went back because that's not my kind of, because there are some of these things that I just didn't add up for me. This fairy tale description of our Christianity that is not biblical. The apostles had lives, you know, lives that were tough lives. You hear people talk about Philippians 4:19, and they forget to go up to 11:12. Go up few verses before and see that Paul was talking about contentment. Christ Embassy does not preach. My experience, I don't know if they've changed. It's all about the mighty things of the world. You're going to have this, and you know they don't preach contentment. So for those who are always coming and say you're not a member of our church, you don't know what this is happening, you don't know this in our church, you don't know this. I just thought I should come here and let those people know. You know, be very careful. You don't know who somebody is, where they've been. You don't know until they tell you. I bet you a lot of them never would have guessed that I used to be a member of Christ Embassy. And I just thought I should come here and share that with you guys, just to say that yeah, Samako was a member of Christ Embassy, and also to let you know why Christ Embassy is not for me. And with that, I'm just going to say thank you for watching. Until the next time, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.